Tonight on 16 by 9, a Canadian gone missing in Mexico.
They were abducting him.
And questions of police on the take.
There are police officers in Puerto Vallarta who are under investigation for possible involvement in this case.
A couple of police officers, yeah.
And then, as elusive as they are beautiful,
they're very, very rare, and that's on the planet.
the Spirit Bear's home is disappearing. And Toronto's skyline of glass and steel. For birds, it's a kill zone.
Toronto sits in one of the busiest migratory corridors on the planet.
Here's Carolyn Jarvis.
Good evening and welcome to 16 by 9. When a young Canadian man vanished from the streets of Mexico last May, the story received hardly any attention. A headline or two in Canada and virtually nothing in the resort city where it happened. But for the man's mother, the past 6 months have been excruciating. Rumors of a kidnapping and murder and the suggestion of police corruption. All the hallmarks of a tropical thriller. And when 16 by 9 started asking questions, the Mexican government got very nervous indeed. Here's Sean O'Shea.
19 minutes in May. The clock ticking down on 2 lives. Canadian Diego Hernandez and American Craig Silva are on an afternoon drive. At 5:26 p.m., Craig sends a text from his phone. Minutes later, a roadside camera shows a police car on their tail. Eyewitness Evaristo Tenorio tells what happened next.
What was special that day when you came over this bridge? What did you see?
El ver los vehículos que estaban parados.
He sees police wave them over.
Un poco para poder pasar.
He sees 2 men, hands up against the car, being frisked.
Y lo estaban revisando.
He recognizes Diego, a 22-year-old Canadian. They'd met before.
No question it was Diego.
No, Diego. Era Diego. Era Diego.
Evaristo drives past. At 5:45, in the SUV, Craig's phone rings. It goes to voicemail. Then, silence. In those 19 minutes, 2 lives are swallowed up in a mystery. A mystery that would soon engulf Diego's mother, Melissa Canez.
I want my son back. It's a nightmare. It's the worst thing that can happen.
Nightmares like this aren't supposed to happen here. With the sand and the Pacific surf, and all those condos. A carefree lifestyle that's drawn more than 50,000 Canadian expats to Mexico. One of them was Diego Hernandez, a young martial arts instructor from Vancouver. He came to Puerto Vallarta full of hope with his mother 3 years ago.
There's a lot of energy here. I think he found it easy to settle in here and feel good. He had a group of children from this neighborhood that he was teaching. He just, I don't know, very quickly loved life here.
Diego organized a fight night here last May. It drew a good crowd. He saw it as a possible career. But 5 days later came the darkest moment in Melissa's life. She was in the orphanage that she runs in her home when the telephone rang. It was from her son's girlfriend. Diego hadn't come home. Craig Silva's Chevy Trailblazer was found a few days later, stripped clean, the hallmarks of a kidnapping. Melissa went to police and then to state authorities. They told her to stay calm.
That's probably one of the most frustrating things for me, is being told to be quiet. They made it clear that if I wanted their help, I had to let them do their job.
Your son goes missing. You go to the police. They tell you, we're going to take care of this. Don't bring this up in the media. This isn't going to be good if you do.
Right, that it's going to jeopardize his safety, jeopardize their ability to find him.
So she kept quiet and tried to keep her fears at bay, staying busy with the little girls she cares for. But as the days passed, police seemed to be making little progress.
I did what I was told to do, and I waited and kept calling and calling to see what was next, what they were going to do, and it became apparent after about a week that they weren't going to be doing what they had said.
For one thing, there was this photograph taken at an ATM machine, a man using Craig's debit card a day after the disappearance.
They haven't even publicized the photo to say this man is wanted in connection with the disappearance.
And there was a video shot from a government building in which a police car is seen stopping Diego and Craig on May 8th. Police refused to show the video to 16 by 9, but they did screen it for Melissa.
The police patrol car, you could see that they were kind of pushing them over to the side.
What do you think was going on there?
They were abducting him. I think they were taking him and likely passing him off to someone else. I think they were likely paid to pick them up.
And that's the last time anyone has seen him alive.
That's right.
As for the eyewitness, Evaristo, he learned about the missing men from this Facebook page days later and realized he may have been witness to a kidnapping. Finally, there was this convenience store. Within a few hours of the disappearance, someone used Craig's debit card here to buy alcohol and cigarettes. It was all captured on the in-store video, but the tape was erased before police could collect it as evidence.
So as a consequence, the police never saw it.
That's right.
So we don't know who was using that credit card, debit card.
No.
One more blown piece of evidence, one more letdown. Diego's trail was growing cold. Ever more desperate, Melissa followed her own lonely trail. She visited the local morgue. We followed her with a hidden camera. In a room smelling of death, she described her son to an attendant.
I just told her about his tattoos.
But there are no bodies to see today.
Just older people that are found on the street. You don't want to find your child in a morgue, but at the same time, if he is in a morgue somewhere, I want to be able to get his remains. I mean, if you lose somebody, you know, usually people, they have time, like you have a wake, you have a funeral, you have that time to grieve, but I feel like I shouldn't grieve, because what if he's still alive? I should be looking for him.
Alive or dead, the questions remain. Why were both men taken? Why no ransom demands? Why have no bodies been found? At first, it was believed Diego may have been abducted by criminals using police to muscle in on his martial arts business. But then, the authorities came up with a whole news story. And Diego's disappearance takes a startling turn.
Next, 16 by 9 asks questions about a police cover-up.
Why were these photographs not distributed to police forces here within the state?
Mexican resort cities like Puerto Vallarta know that tourism depends on image. An image that the streets are safe by day and by night. Luca Mendiola runs a local radio station.
These tourist destinations are like an internal embassy of Mexico. We should take very, very special care of these places.
But bad things do happen to tourists in those places.
Canadian officials are working with authorities in Mexico as they investigate the murder of a Salt Spring Island man.
Since 2006, at least 30 Canadians have been killed in Mexico in often brutal circumstances. Jimena Aceguedo, a UBC student, strangled and stabbed. Dwayne Lang of Regina, stabbed 24 times. Nancy and Dominic Iannero of Ontario, throat slashed in their Cancun resort. The list goes on. Tourists expect police to protect them, but police in Mexico have a poor reputation. Municipal cops here earn less than $1,000 a month, making them easy prey for organized crime. Murder and corruption, a deadly mix for tourism.
It was not good for Mexico, it was not good for Puerto Vallarta.
The government is highly sensitive about foreign news coverage, whether it's drug war footage like this or disappearances. 16 by 9 found out just how sensitive when we began asking officials about the disappearance of Diego Hernandez. Attorney General Luis Nahara helicoptered into town the next morning with a full security team, just for us.
The Prime Minister usually travels with about this number of people in Canada.
You don't have the same problems we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Today, his problem was Diego Hernandez and the perception that police were dragging their feet.
We're working all the day, 24 hours a day in this case.
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So people shouldn't be sitting back and saying, you're doing nothing.
I push for that.
Melissa Canez wants police to push harder, to arrest the police who were the last to see her son, and to go after this man, photographed at an ATM machine using Craig's debit card.
I'll play devil's advocate. Maybe 4 months isn't that long a time. Is it possible that they're doing their job?
If they have photos, why haven't they published them? If they knew that the police were involved, why did they wait for 4 months to even interview them?
Do you think this is a bit of a whitewash?
That's right. As time goes by, you just feel more and more desperate. I don't think they want to find them.
Of course we want to find him, Nahara says, and produces this case file to prove it, full of statements and photographs. We showed him the photo of the one obvious suspect.
Why were these photographs not distributed to police forces here within the state?
His answer was evasive.
Here in Mexico, we work a little different than in Canada or in the US.
But he was more forthright when asked about local corruption.
So, to be clear, are you saying that there are police officers in Puerto Vallarta who are under investigation for possible involvement in this case?
A couple of police officers, yeah.
Has anyone been arrested?
This is an investigation.
So the answer is no.
Right now, no.
Then, Nahara dropped a bombshell about Diego.
Maybe he's involved in a murder case. This is part of the investigation.
You're suggesting that he may have killed someone else and is on the run.
We are in an investigation. We are looking for DNA. We are looking for some other proofs.
The murder in question is that of an American restaurant owner, Johnny Lure. That's him on the right. He was found hands tied and stabbed to death in this local hotel room, 6 days before Diego disappeared. Witnesses said the two men were seen together hours before the killing. But newspaper stories make no mention of a motive or of Diego Hernandez.
I just think it's ridiculous. Why do they come out with these things? Now that they're missing, all of a sudden, oh, we were watching them for this and we were watching them for that. Well, really? Do you have the proof? You know, if you did, you would have arrested them, no?
Questions Melissa may never get an answer to. She will, however, continue to question the police, even if it makes them uncomfortable.
Discomfort is, you know, it's the least they should feel is discomfort for what they've put us through by not making the effort they promised they would make. I've kind of gotten to the point where I think, well, more than likely, he's not alive.
Since 2006, there have been 27,000 desaparecidos in Mexico that disappeared, and they're almost never found alive.
If he is, it will just be like the greatest gift anyone could ever give me. And then I'll just be happy then, but I don't want to think it's a possibility because then I can't function. Thinking that he's maybe in some terrible place, and I don't know how to explain it. Yeah.
At least 2 other Canadian men have been missing in Mexico since last March. They are John Leodakis of Toronto and Marc Ménard of Laval, Quebec. And Mexican police have made little headway in finding them. We'll be right back.